These are the 4 problems facing modern China. By Becky, Willey,
and Nataly Hernandez.
Problem number 1. Pollution. In 2010, the outdoor air pollution in China caused 1.2 million premature deaths. This is 40% of the global total. This ambient particulate matter pollution is the 4th leading risk factor for deaths in China in 2010. Air pollution ranked 7th on the worldwide risk factors and caused a total of 3.2 million deaths. 350,000 to 400,000 people die prematurely in China each year due to outdoor air pollution. The Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, which is set in Paris, estimated that urban air pollution is set to become the top environmental cause of mortality worldwide by 2050, ahead of dirty water and lack of sanitation. If these countries don't do something about this problem, then 3.6 million people could end up dying prematurely each year in mostly China and India. There are many measures that Beijing's mayor may take to help minimize the pollution in China. This includes banning all heavily polluting vehicles and punishing officials that lack enforcement on these measures. Beijing plans to cut coal use by 2.6 million tons as part of the city's all-out effort to decrease the amount of pollution. They also plan to eliminate coal-burning boilers, cut new car registrations, and promote new energy vehicles. These measures will lower their PM25 particles, which reach to a whopping 500. Above 300 is considered hazardous. China has already shut down 8,347 heavily polluting companies in 2013, most of them being in a city called Hebei province, which is said to have the worst air in the country. Most of this pollution also spreads to the U.S., so China plans on relocating the high-polluting plants to rural areas, hoping to expose less people to the contaminated air. Although there are dozens of laws and measures to improve the environment, most companies and cities fail to enforce them. Nah.
Problem number 2. Energy crisis. As of 2010, China has become the world's largest energy consumer. But the energy supply is unstable because China relies mainly on imports. Fossil fuels account for 87% of all energy used in China. The U.S. burns less than 1 billion tons of coal a year, which is nothing compared to the 4 billion tons of coal that China burns. In 2013, China consumed about 10.1 million barrels of oil a day. China imports oil from more than 10 countries. Such as Iran and Russia. China also has investments for natural gas in Africa, the Middle East, South America, and North America. In May 2014, China made a 30-year natural gas deal with Russia. This deal will benefit both countries. China will be able to lower its use of coal by replacing it with natural gas. It guarantees an energy market for Russia if Europe decides not to use Russian energy anymore. China's goal is to become a self-sufficient nation that is capable of meeting its own energy needs. If China fails to build a stable energy supply network and continues to rely heavily upon imports, it will be at the mercy of other countries. To meet this goal, China invested in renewable energy, and in 2012, they became the world's largest energy producer. Their advancements included expanding the capacity of traditional hydropower, wind power, and solar power. Even with these advancements, non-fossil energy resources only make up about 8% of China's overall energy consumption. For some time to come, China's industrialization and urbanization will continue to accelerate, and the demand for energy will go on increasing, and so its energy supply will confront increasingly tougher challenges.
Problem number 3. Income inequality. That's a tumbleweed, by the way. The gap between the rich and poor in China is the world's largest. In a perfect world where income is equal to each person, the Gini coefficient, measure that tracks economic equality, would be 0. The Gini coefficient of 1 would be where all income is given to one individual. In China, the Gini coefficient was 0.3 in 1980, then rose to 0.55 in 2010, and then lowered to about 0.474 in 2012. So what does this mean? Well, think of it this way. Anything over 0.50 is considered severe disparity. In other words, a coefficient over 0.50 would be an extremely uneven pay to workers. In the US, the Gini coefficient is 0.5. Not as bad as China's 0.474, but still bad. This high measure in China is blamed on the high number of the rural population. The rapid rise in income inequality in China can be partly attributed to long-standing government development policies that effectively favor urban residents over rural residents and favor coastal more developed regions over inland less developed regions. Surprisingly, China's economy would benefit from less of the population involved in agriculture. The Prime Minister, Li Keqiang, unveiled a plan to urbanize the country to balance China's economy. If this proposal is successfully implemented, then it could begin to ease China's soaring inequality.
Problem number 4. Population crisis. There's way too many people in China. Can you imagine living in a country with over 1 billion people? China currently holds the record for the most populous country, and the overpopulation is causing social, economic, and environmental issues. The Chinese government thought that they had come up with a solution to this problem back in 1979, the one-child policy. This policy prohibits the majority of Chinese couples from having more than one child. But 2 children are allowed if the first child is a girl or disabled, or if neither parent has siblings. The one-child policy caused an increase of forced abortions. and female infanticide, which is the act of killing female infants. Female infanticide led to an imbalance of the gender ratio in China. And because of this, about 20 to 30 million Chinese men will not be able to find a wife. The main concern of this crisis, however, is that over time the portion of the country's population that is 60 years old and above will increase dramatically. In other words, there will be more old people than young people. If the one-child policy remains, there will be fewer than 1.6 workers for every retired person by 2050. The retirement age for women is 50 to 55, and for men it is 60. With the increased life expectancy and declining birth rate, it will become extremely difficult to support all the elderly. Is there anything China can do to solve this problem? To increase the number of workers and limit the number of forced abortions, the Chinese government should allow every family to have 2 children. The ratio of workers to retired people can be improved by making the retirement age for men and women the same. The 2-child policy would take several years to show any signs of improvement, but it's better than doing nothing.
This has been the 4 problems facing modern China. Thank you for watching, and as always, all we are saying is give peace a chance. Peace.
That's from?
Dang it, I messed up.
Was Tommy
It looked
smug
bad.
today? Did he act like a smug senior?
He's just stupid.
Hmm?
He's just stupid.
Why is he stupid?